What does the Bible, Anne Frank's diary, and the Tao of Seneca have in common? They all use the same two strategies that led to having worldwide success. And in this episode, we'll explore how you can use those same two strategies to find viral success when making your own content online. You've got a dream to glorify God and make your mark on the world. Maybe you want to grow a business, start a ministry, or become a better servant leader. Whichever level in life you want to hit, I believe that God's calling all of us towards something greater than where we are now. So join me as I document my journey to learn how to grow an online ministry in ways that are effective, biblical, and aren't stuffed with complicated religious or business mumbo-jumbo. My name is Alec Kassan, and welcome to the Digital Ministry Mastermind Podcast. Hey, what is going on, current... Oh, I just kicked something. Anyway, what's going on, current Christian family? It is Alec here, and I'm very pleased to be with you here in this episode because I've gotten some questions, people being like, hey, do you have any general tips when it comes to content creation? And I love that, A, you're asking, for assistance and stuff. I love to help however I can. And two, you're looking to contribute to more stuff online. So, as the intro of this episode said, what does the Bible, being one of the most popular books in the world, Anne Frank's diary being one of the most translated books in the world, and then also just the world famous letters in the Tao of Seneca, what do these things all have in common? Well, they all share two strategies that helped make them very successful. And before I share what those two things are, I just want to bring us to the modern day where we have the internet. All these things that I was talking about, those all had to be written on paper, but we got the internet now, the digital age, and people are just burning out from overworking just because they're trying to create so much content to just be continually uploading on the internet. And it feels like we have to constantly be trying to contribute. Sorry for the sirens, but it feels like we have to constantly be trying to contribute to this pool of social media content creation because, if you don't, then you might be left behind. You're not going to be seen or recognized online. And in fact, around 500 hours of video is being uploaded every minute. 60 seconds. I don't even know how you can go from having 500 times 60 minutes happening in 60 seconds. It just is blowing my mind. It makes no sense. So obviously, just with that one statistic alone, it's easy to imagine that how hard it is for businesses and ministries, even churches, to be successful when there's just so much being produced every second of every day. How can we possibly create content that can both increase the perceived value of our brand while also not getting stuck on okay, what should we be producing in the first place? Well, the answer to that is the same answer to what had all those three books of the Bible, Anne Frank's diary, and the Tao of Seneca become so popular. And to put it simply in the words of Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm sure you've heard of him. If not, you don't even need to do a Google search. Just go on any social media platform. He'll probably pop up. But Gary V says is like this: document, don't create. Document, don't create. So when it comes to putting out content online, there's a very specific time and place to create. But most often, what we should be doing is just simply documenting the journey. Because you see, when we document, we're just recording what is already going on around us. We're bringing our audience into our shoes so they can see how we see. And then, they can understand the heart that is going into the work that we do. In the Bible, fantastic example of that, it's full of stories that came from people just documenting their experiences and their encounters with God. And Anne Frank, she just documents her life in hiding from 1942 to 1944, during the time that the Germans were invading the Netherlands in World War II and all that. It's sad stuff. And even for the Tao of Seneca, if you guys haven't heard of this, it's basically letters written by this guy Seneca, and he was just literally, he didn't think it's going to be made into a famous book that's going to be out thousands of years after I'm dead, but he was just writing letters to his friend. Literally, that's all it is. It kind of reminds me of Paul writing his letters. He didn't think those letters would be part of holy text. Like he was just giving out advice to buddies in different churches that were starting up. And you might have questioned like why you should document your journey. But I want to ask you, why not? If you're thinking like, oh, why should I be doing this? Like, but like legit, like, why shouldn't you? Imagine all of the famous literary works that don't exist merely because people didn't think to write down what was happening. Imagine all those great ideas that you had, but soon forgot because you hadn't written them down. I know that happened to me probably last night. If I remembered, then shoot, I don't know. Then I probably would have written it down, but I didn't, so I probably forgot. Now imagine like, even, or like, oh, when you're in the shower and stuff, I'm in the shower, come up with fantastic ideas, and, if someone invented waterproof paper, I might just use that in the shower. But if you got Google or Alexa, you just tell them, take a note for you, bam, bada bing, bada boom. But I want you to imagine now that like all the content that you can create, and then all the impact that you can have if you just simply documented your journey. You've probably had a lot of deep, meaningful conversations with friends or family over coffee. What if that was recorded? That'd be probably a great podcast episode. And this actually leads me to my next point. You got to publish consistently. We're out here, we're living our life every day. We're living each day consistently. So you got to publish consistently. But also, to make things easier for you, publish consistently on one platform. I've been told that it's best to publish daily for a year. Like if you want to better hone in your message, you got to publish something around that message at least once a day for an entire year. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's for a good reason. Because as you continue to create and document, you're going to progressively find your footing, basically, and discover your true voice. Because if you go to like my very first video on YouTube, so if you look up The Current Christian on YouTube, watch my very, very first video, and then watch more of the recent videos. It's totally drastically different, not only with like production quality, but just like in the genuineness of being in front of the camera. And that's what happens. Each post that you make, it's like practice getting to express just like the truer version of yourself to your audience. And I've heard it put like this, how it's like going on a first date. The first time you go on a date, you want to act, quote unquote, you're acting your best. You're being cautious about every single little thing that you do, and you're calculating every single little thing that you're going to say so that it'll make like the best impression. Yet the ironic thing is that if you were really just being yourself, you'd probably make a way better impression than by you just trying to be someone else. That's what like the big, spoiler, one of the big topics in the Planting Your Purpose book. It's like you just gotta be who God made you to be. And the same is true for posting on social media. The more real you can be, the more receptive your audience will also become, and the more that they're going to grow to respect and like you. So if you study the Bible, if you've read Anne Frank's diary or any of Seneca's letters, they are all being open and real with the reader, and their hearts, their minds become a literal open book that you are reading and that you're connecting with because of it. So if you're looking to become more successful online, create some better viral content, then you need to implement those two strategies. The first one being simply just document your life, just how like the Bible, it's just people documenting their encounters with God. And then second, you got to publish daily. You got to do it to just kind of practice sharing your message. And you'll also find just firmer footing on how you're going to be presenting yourself and positioning yourself in front of other people so that you can be more impactful down the road. So hey, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If you found anything in here that was any like type of bit insightful, anything like that, then please, I ask you to subscribe. And if you think anyone would benefit from this episode or any episodes prior, I invite you to share this with them. And hey, God's calling all of us towards something greater than where we are now. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Are you a Christian leader looking to develop the skills needed to maximize the fruitfulness in your daily walk with Christ? Do you want to overcome the burden of not living life to the fullest and fully step into your God-given calling? If you do, then you should get a copy of my book, Planting Your Purpose, a 20-day guide to discover God's calling. It's not just another devotional book. Planting Your Purpose is your 20-day guide that will provide you with the strategies, tools, and insights to turn things around immediately. You will learn how to avoid the top 5 mistakes Christians make when pursuing their calling in life. You'll develop more joy in your walk with Jesus and unlock the secrets to mastering integrity. And by the end of 20 days, not only will you know your calling, but you'll have an even greater sense of fulfillment and confidence in your life. Everywhere, Christians are raving about this amazing new guide to discover their God-given calling. Get your copy by clicking the link in the show notes or by going to plantingyourpurpose.com. That's plantingyourpurpose.com.